welcome back to another consignment update episode. I think it's episode 3 today for the September auction, 9th to the 12th of September. We missed a week last week, various reasons. CJ was very unwell, and I was at a music festival. Well, I was preparing to go to a music festival, and therefore I refused to go anywhere near Chris because I didn't want to get ill. He was very, very poorly. But I think he's on the road to recovery now, still sounding a bit hoarse. The music festival was great, thanks for asking. It was, 2,000 Trees. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but I highly recommend it if you're into, I guess if you're into alternative music, but which I am. It was a fantastic weekend, first time I've been, and I'm already booking tickets to go back next year. That's how good it was. Saw some of our viewers and clients there, which was great as well. So hello to you if you are watching this video, and yeah, looking forward to next year. Anyway, we are back. We're both still suffering, CJ from his illness and me from the festival. First, I did it with kids as well. So anyway, enough of me waffling on about what I'm getting up to. That's not what we're here for. We're here to look at some guitars. So all of these are coming up on the 9th of September, the ones I'm showing you today. Big 4-day auction, guitars, pedals, effects, spares, you name it, guitar related. We've got it. Because we did miss a week last week, this is going to be a bumper episode. So at this stage, I don't know how long it's going to be until we get into the edit. But strap in. It's going to be long. And we're going to start with some Hofner guitars. So if you don't like Hofner guitars, skip about 15 minutes. But there are some nice things there. And yeah, this really is going to be a good variety of things, whether it's Hofner guitars, other quirky 60s guitars, vintage Fender guitars and Gibson guitars, and a lot of players grade modified instruments as well. And if you all stick around till the end, if I'm feeling nice, we may even put a nice little bonus in at the end, but we'll see. I'll wait till the end to decide. But as always, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, hit the like button. It all helps to show this video to like-minded folk. And of course, it keeps you up to date with everything that's going on here. There are guitars now on the website. Go to guitarauctions.com or guitar-auctions.co.uk, whichever you prefer. I'm sure most of you got it bookmarked now, but there are guitars appearing there. I think we've got around 100 up there now. We'll probably have even more so by the time this video gets published. But I hope you like what you see. Of course, comment on your favourites, what you don't like, any corrections, always welcomed. We all like to get involved in the comments. But yeah, hope you enjoy this video. So, picking up from where we left off in the last video, we showed you a load of Burns guitars. Love them or hate them. I think they've got a certain charm to them. But this is a lesser spotted Baldwin Vibra Slim bass in the red burst finish. Bit of buckle scratch into the back, but otherwise not bad really, considering its age, 1966-ish, I'd imagine, without looking up the serial number. But there we go, there's one Baldwin, and then we have a slightly earlier Burns here. So we have the Vibra Artiste, and that is in pretty good original condition. This checking is very typical of the model from this era. You don't often find them much better than this. I think we have had one that was near mint once, and it was quite a sight to behold. But anyway, in pretty good, decent original condition. And I did threaten in the last video that we had a big collection of Hofner guitars to have a look at, and you can see a big run behind me. So I think what we'll do is we'll have a quick look through and see what we've got. So here we go. So most of these are going to be early to mid 60s, Super Solids and Galaxies and things like that to start with. So here is a Super Solid. There we go, in the red finish, as is very typical. Some of these will have been refinished. As you can see there, maple neck, lots of checking, but not in bad condition considering its age. And then we go on to the next one here. This is a Galaxy model, this one, with the 3 pickups, all the switching, bit of a split to the guard there, but we've got this sort of tan burst finish, which is the original finish. Rosewood board with the typical inlays, bit of the head, the logo missing there. If anyone knows what that means, let me know. It seems to say the machine 1968 and then some kind of autograph. If anyone knows anything about that, let me know. I'd be very interested. As you can see, the finish has suffered quite a lot on the back of the neck, as these can. And then if we look behind here, we also next have a Super Solid, a 3 pickup version. This one's so Super Solid 3, again from 1960s. You can see the vinyl. This would have had a vinyl covering, which is lost. You still got the white banding around the side, but a bit of a restoration project for someone. But the main bones of it is there. And then we have this Solid, slightly different electrical configuration with the older style switching system. Again, 3 pickups, red finish, lots of checking there on the finish. And then on the head as well, you can see it's got a replaced tuner button, or I think the whole tuner's been replaced. And then just working on down, we have another Super Solid 2 there, with the 2 pickups, red finish. And then we have a bass, which seems to be, I've suffered a little bit. The pickup seems to be loose. Someone's tried to do a makeshift job holding it in place with some blue tack. So one of the pickups on this doesn't work. It's probably that one, from memory. But 2 pickup Hofner bass guitar if you're into your basses rather than your guitars. And then moving on down is kind of more of the same. We've got another Super Solid 2 there, another Galaxy model in the sunburst finish. This is actually a slightly later one. This is going more into the 70s. You can tell because of the decal, the genuine Hofner decal on the back of the head. So that is a later Galaxy model. And then we have a Super Solid V3. I actually kind of prefer these ones. These are slightly earlier as well, with the more rounded horns. As you can see, this is a bit of a resto project as well. It needs its bridge cover being reinstated, but in the sunburst finish. And that pretty much covers the solids. Now we're moving on from solid Hofner guitars to ones with air in. I guess you could say solids to gas. There we go. Another terrible joke. And this one is a Senator Thin, so single pickup. That is not the original pickup, but it is a pickup nonetheless. Senator Thin model. It's a bit tired looking, but I think I would be when I'm this old. But there we go, Senator Thin, and we do have another Senator Thin. If you don't want the brunette finish and you prefer blondes, then we have this one behind here with the Hofner pickup. There we go, in slightly better condition, that one. And then wedged in between those two, we have this one from around 1959. This is a 463 model. Now, essentially, what this is it's a European rather than UK market guitar. The European market guitars have more of this aesthetic, with the pearl heads of various designs rather than the Selmer distributed Hofner heads, and they had always had different inlays and things. But this is it's a pretty cool guitar. 3 pickups with the switching and the standard Hofner switchboard there as well. And we're saying circa 59 essentially because of the lipstick pickups or the black bar pickups. They transitioned to more this style pickup in 1960. So yeah, circa 1959 for this one. But that is a pretty rare model. You don't see many of these around. In fact, I think it's the very first one of those we've ever had in. Just behind there, we've got a Congress, which is sort of very much the bottom of the pecking order, the very entry-level model. So an early Congress there. And then we're looking at some very thins, which in terms of Hofner, probably one of my favourite models. So again, we got the pickups here, so 1960-61, very thin in the red finish. There we go. This one has had a head repair by the looks of it, but it originally came from Moores of Bradford. Does anyone remember that shop? There we go. And then behind there is a rare very thin, being that it is a bass, so you don't see many of these. This actually originally came from us, so the second time we're selling it. So I think I've only ever sold 3 very thin basses, including this one, and 2 of those 3 times, like I said, we have sold it before, was this one. So we've only had one other than this exact one. But yeah, a rare bass guitar. I think the other one we sold remains in the collection of this gentleman. So he's a bit of a Hofner nut. So all of these guitars do come from one collection, including the Burns guitars we saw at the end of the last video. So this chap was very much into these sort of European and English 1960s guitars like Burns, Hofner, Futurama. We're going to have a look at a few of those as well in a second. And then here we have a committee bass. So it's kind of top of the line really for Hofner guitars with air in, the committee model. And then obviously you went to committee deluxes and goldens in the guitar format. But in terms of bass guitar, this is I guess as posh as it gets. So the committee hollow body bass guitar, again a little bit tired, but not bad for the age. Some more bass guitars for you. We've got a Futurama. So these were at the time by Hagstrom, as you can see on the back there. And so made in Sweden, Hagstrom Futurama bass with the twin pickups. These are good fun. They've got a good look about them. And they do sound pretty good as well, and generally play well. Nice small necks, so if you've got small hands, and they're a good weight as well. And this is in good, pretty much original condition, I think. Just looking it over, strap button there that's damaged, but you can see what it's supposed to look like. There we go, camera's playing silly games. So there we got the one in red, and then if you'd prefer the same again in blue, then we do have that option. So the blue finished ones, usually they came in red or blue, and then we do have another in red there, in slightly more worn condition than the previous one. And then we have a Futurama 2 Deluxe electric guitar with the greater middle. So these are getting more valuable these days. The vinyl back and the sort of more perspex front. There we go. So another Futurama there. And we've got a few vintage Vox guitars and Watkins guitars, which in some ways are a little bit related in the fact that this was essentially what you could get in this country when the shipping embargo was in place and you couldn't get Fenders over here. So we were all in the UK looking at these fantastic Fender instruments, but essentially we couldn't get them. So this was the answer. Of course, everyone wanted to be like Hank Marvin from the Shadows, and this is the Vox Shadow model. So the red finish with the 3 pickups, so very much copy take on the Strat, made by Vox in England, of course. And then beside that we have a stroller. There we go, the 2 pickup stroller. It's a very similar idea as well. I'm imagining it was just more of a budget version. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then if you didn't go for one of those, quite often you'd go for a Watkins Rapier. So that's the 33 model, and it's a 33 because it has 3 pickups essentially. And then we have a 22 which has the 2 pickups, and of course they had the 44 which had 4 pickups. So there we go, some interesting instruments and models that you'd have to settle for before you could get Stratocasters over in this country. This is a very nice guitar, which I'll talk about in a minute. There are more Hofner and Futurama guitars from that collection that I haven't shown you. They'll be on the website soon, and yeah, just in the fear of getting completely Hofnered out in this video, I've shown you the bulk of them, but you can see all of them in the catalogue, of course. And there'll be some different models that we haven't seen as well. But anyway, this is a really interesting guitar. Some of you will have seen this before because we did sell it in a previous auction. No idea who made it, but it is an incredible quality guitar. Starting with the top, so the Dulcet there, but you can see this side face profile. There we go. Doesn't look. Oh, does it? Oh, wow. There we go. Modelled after me. And it's got some great inlay work as well. Obviously, stylistically not going to be for everyone, but it's got this sort of Tinkerbell fairy inlay. Really nicely carved body. This guitar, since it was purchased from us, has had a few mods to make it a very good playing guitar. They've sort of chamfered this edge here to give this. It could be done a little bit more, I think, but yeah, it just makes it really comfortable on the edge because it did have quite a sharp edge. So it's been really nicely set up. A few minor hardware changes, but it is a fantastic instrument, and it's not going to break the bank because no one really knows who made it, but all the parts are very good quality. It's been incredibly well made. If anyone does know who made this, let us know, because we'd really be interested. And whoever did make this should go into making more guitars because they are highly skilled. It's an incredible thing. So there we go, the second opportunity to own this guitar. So in here we have a Gibson 335 Dot, and I guess a bit of a story about this because it is from 1982, which was of course the year of the release of the reissues. So there we go. They basically decided that they wanted to make guitars to the old specs using the old methods once again, and 82 was the year that they made that happen. So a lot of the reissues you start seeing come out are from 1982, and this is the 335 Dot. As you can see there, take the first and the 5th digit and you get the year, 1982. So mahogany neck, as you'd expect, blonde natural finished maple body, sort of more of a plain rather than some of the highly figured flamed maple ones that you can see in later years, but certainly more true to the earlier models. So there we go, another cool Gibson instrument. Here we have another Gibson, and this is a J200. We saw lots of J200s in the last sale, which we pretty much sold out of. But there we go. So this is a 1993, so good period. J200, vintage sunburst. There we go. It's obviously been used, some marks to the pick guard, but it's not too bad at all. Belly's nice and flat, nice straight neck. Nice comfortable guitar to play, looks good. One thing I found interesting about the ones from this year is the G and the D tuners are slightly
proper wonky.
Yeah, they're wonky, and I initially questioned that and thought that can't be right, and I looked up a load more from around this time and they're all the same. So there we go, but that is a 1993 Gibson J200. This is a guitar that we've had before, but this was, we sold this pre-YouTube days, so none of you will have seen it on this channel. So this is a 1974 Gibson L-5S. Really cool guitar. You don't see them around that often. I really like them, but it's not going to be to everyone's taste, of course. There we go. Stunning looking guitar. As you can see, it's had its tuners changed, some shallers installed, and you can see the old ones have been doweled and some refinishing. This guitar has a bit of a history. I've got a letter here from the previous owner who I originally sold it on behalf of, a chap called Raymond Gallo, who was a guitarist and teacher in the London area, and he was the son of Louis Gallo, who was very well known guitarist back in the day. So Ray bought it in approximately 1985, and he actually says on here that Chris Eccleshaw did some work on the back to cover some belt marks. Now, Chris Eccleshaw is what was an incredible luthier, and you turn it over and yes, it's shinier, but you can't really tell it's been refinished. So he's done a really, really good job, and this is very, very accurate. I've seen some really mint condition ones of these, and the colouring is just really, yeah, just insanely accurate. So he's done a fantastic job. As you can see, it's a lot darker to the front with the original finish. It would have faded down over the years, but really, really good job on that. Comes with its original case, so a typical 70s purple lined case, and you can faintly see the Gibson logo still there. But there we go, 1974 Gibson L-5S. So in here, another guitar that has been through this house, Jim Triggs. Triggs are very, very good. Highly skilled maker that lots of us will know of. But this is a Byrdland tribute. So his take on the Byrdland. So essentially it's the similar kind of specs and idea, but some of his own appointments, obviously his own head shape, just to not get completely sued by Gibson. But there we go, comes with a decent case as well. But these guitars to be commissioned would have been a lot of money, 5,000 plus. So a great opportunity to get hold of this guitar if you missed out on it when it came through our hands, well, a few years ago now. In here, not a maker that everyone will have heard of, but if you're into your jazz boxes, and certainly UK guitars, you may well have done. This is a Fibonacci Ambassador, made in the UK, 2018. It was made for the vendor. A very good archtop guitar indeed. Lovely satin finish, good timbers, single neck pickup as you'd find in most jazz guitars. Quite interesting that controls are on the top. Whether that works or not from a practical point of view, I don't know. I'm sure it does, can't see why not. But a fantastic instrument. And here we have an interesting bass guitar. It's a Shuker Uberhorn 5-string fretless bass. There we go, really well made instrument. And the pickup system is actually built in within this section here, all very clever. As you can see, mahogany body with this, I'm not actually quite sure what that top is. African Blackwood, something like that, yeah. Looks like Brazilian rosewood or something, but isn't. Anyway, there we go. Comes with its branded original Hiscock's hard case. So if you're into your classy basses and want a fretless 5-string, there we go. So in here we have a early Crimson guitar. So this was made by Ben Crowe himself. A lot of you will know of Ben Crowe, especially those of you who are into watching guitar content on YouTube. I'm sure lots of you follow his various channels. A fine luthier, has his guitar workshop school, etc. So yeah, very, very early archtop. Most of the guitars you see him build are electrics these days, but I guess he can put his hand to anything in the guitar and other woodworking domain. But yeah, there is a very early Crimson guitar made by Ben Crowe himself. So very similar idea to the 82 Gibson that we saw. This is an 82 Fender Telecaster, and Fender were also adopting the same concept of making vintage reissues of their original instruments. So this is a reissue of their 52 Telecaster. Comes with a non-original case, but there we go. It's all dated correctly inside to the year. Comes with the flathead screws rather than the crossheads. Absolute pain when you're taking these apart, including on the guard as well. In this butterscotch, see-through butterscotch type finish, and of course with the black guard. So a 1982 American vintage reissue Telecaster. So does the name Melvyn Hiscock ring any bells to anyone? He was a lovely chap. Sadly passed away a few years ago now. I had many a pleasant conversation with him and did some business with him in the past. Used to come to our auctions, used to see him at guitar shows. Anyway, Melvyn Hiscock is a chap who wrote a book called How to Make a Guitar. And it was a go-to book for a lot of people to start out crafting these things. And this is one of his homemade guitars. And very, very good quality. So everything made by him, including completely crafting the neck from scratch. Really nice neck actually, satin fills, got his decal on the head there, which is his signature. Decent pickups as well. Seymour Duncans, DiMarzios, etc. Wilkinson trem. And that is a cool S-type instrument made by him. I think we got 3 or 4 guitars from the estate of Melvyn Hiscock. Sort of the remaining guitars left in that estate. But yeah, have a look at the catalogue and see which one takes your fancy. We're just showing this one for now. Due to time constraints, we've got a lot to show you. So yeah, check out his book if you haven't got it. It's a very insightful book in how to build a guitar. Last video we saw a run of Les Paul guitars. So if you want some more, we have more. From 1990, I think exactly. There we go, yep. Gibson Les Paul Custom. So everything you'd expect from a custom. Weighs a lot, but that's good for sustain, as they tell us. Good for tone, believe it or not. Does have a head brake here. It's been well done. You can just about see the hairline. Has been refinished over, which is a shame, but it keeps the price down. Sunburst finish. So if you want a tobacco sunburst finish Les Paul Custom, that's not going to cost as much as a early 90s example usually would, and you don't mind the head repair, then there we go, good option. And another Les Paul here, Gibson Custom, as you can usually tell from the cases, these old type cases. So this is from 2007, it's an R9. There are some people who prefer a figured flame maple top, some people prefer a quilted top, some people prefer a plain top. This is of course a quilted top. Personally my least favourite of the 3, but there are plenty out there who absolutely love a quilted top. So all 59 specs, the big chunky neck, mahogany neck and mahogany back with the maple cap, the vintage sunburst sort of heritage sunburst finish, and with the burst bucker pickups and everything you'd expect. Comes with all its paperwork, as we can see there. Tags, certificate of authenticity, 2007 Gibson R9. Fender Strat Plus, very popular these days. This one from 1990. Don't let the serial number deceive. It's not from 1989. It has 1990 pots and neck stamp, I believe. But serial numbers can be out by a year, depending on when the parts are matched together. So this has the gold lace sensors. We've got the Wilkinson roller nut, the locking tuners, as you'd expect, but generally in very good clean condition. There's a few light surface scratches, but here's what it is. Fender Stratocaster Plus from 1990. So I've got a collection of guitars that have all come from one estate, and I think it's a a game of guess who their favourite artist was, and see, for those of you watching live, so you can comment first. So the first guitar up is a Fiesta Red 50s Strat. This is an American vintage reissue. So you've got the V profile, or slight V profile at least, maple neck, nice and small, and the single ply guard and the Fiesta Red finish. So all the classic 57 specs with the tweed case. So in this Fender case we have a Vintera Jaguar, of course the Vintera series guitars, made in Mexico. This one from around 2019, as the serial tells us. Sunburst finish, really, really good condition. And yeah, comes with this Fender case. This is going to add, or present a bit of a curveball to the band or artist in question. It's the right colour at least, but it's a Simon Neil signature, and that is not the artist we're thinking of. So Simon Neil, Biffy Clyro guitarist, fantastic band, great set at Glastonbury, one of my favourite bands, and one of the best Strats money can buy in my opinion. The reason I know that, or maybe I'm being a bit biased, is because I have one. So it's the only traditional Strat layout, as in 3 single coils, that I own, and yeah, I really like them. So it's essentially a copy of his red Strat. So you've got the red body, sort of Fiesta Red type body, which is the one that I'm not a huge fan of red guitars, so it's the one thing I'm not really into, but it's such a good guitar that I can let that go. But you've got this sort of green guard, which gives it a really nice look. Now the pickups in the Simon Neil model, they're quite clever in the fact that it's a mixture of, I think, Alnico 3 and 5 magnets, and it's split halfway, so you get more clarity on the top and more dirt on the bottom, which is perfect for Simon Neil, of course, and the type of music that they play. So you get this dark rosewood board as well, but of course it is a Squier, not a Fender. So his is a 63 Strat, I believe. But really cool guitars, a lot for the money. They have actually gone up quite a bit in value since I bought mine. I actually got mine for 150 quid. You're looking at nearly 400 hammer now for these, but you're still getting a very good guitar for the money. And I think, like any artist guitar, certainly ones that were, over time they ended up being discontinued, sort of in a limited run, and the value of them does seem to go up, and your money generally is safe. And obviously no one can predict what is going to happen with the world's economy, but that has been the general rule up until now. So there we go, Simon Neil Stratocaster. Now I think we might officially have given the game away. Another Fiesta Red Strat, and it is a Hank Marvin signature. There we go. Chris was scratching his head. So yeah, these were made around 1990. This one has had the upgrade of the Kinman HX pickups, which are Hank Marvin's favoured pickups. Has them on all of his guitars. But of course we've got the single ply guard, sort of all 50s spec, maple neck, Fiesta Red body, signature on the head. We do have the original Squier pickups. If you're worried about wanting the originals, they are in there, and there's the box for the Kinmans. So Hank Marvin signature Squier Strat. And if you didn't get it on the last guitar, then I'm sure you've got to get it on this one. 40th anniversary Hank Marvin Burns. Weirdly, it's missing its certificate of authenticity, but it is right. Serial number 63, so it's a very early one as well. I believe they made, I think they made 1964 of them. Or maybe it was 2004. anyway. It is an early serial number, certainly within the first 100. Comes with its case. COA is missing, don't know where that's got to, but Hank Marvin Burns guitar. So that guitar that I showed you was the last of that collection, or there is some more guitars from that collection, but that's the last one we're showing you. We're going on to a short run of 3 guitars from one source, and the reason I'm saying that is because we've got this Burns, or Baldwin should I say, Baby Bison that is in absolutely staggering condition. Now, it's in such good condition I can hardly believe that it's the original finish. But what I will say is that the 3 guitars from this collection are in such good condition, there is a chance that it could be. I don't know. Usually a lot of these Baldwin guitars, the finish cracks and everything. I mean, it's not obviously refinished, but it just looks too clean. Yeah, I'm going to err on the side of caution and say that maybe it has been restored. But pretty rare guitar. These Baby Bisons, don't see many of them. I think the last one we sold had been played by Joe Bonamassa. Did quite well. But anyway, from around 1966, a Baldwin Baby Bison. So from the same collection is this Vox Lynx. And you can see what I mean about the condition. So this one is the original finish. There is a bit more, markings all over. And in this sort of tan burst finish that you'd expect. But again, incredible condition with the original case. Another model you don't see that often, from the 1960s. In here, if I can get into the case, this is a very rare guitar. It weighs a ton, or certainly the whole package weighs a ton. We have a Vox Organ Guitar. Now, the condition of this guitar is just, in terms of, well, 1, the condition, and 2, the contents of the case is just incredible, because a lot of these things can go missing. Yeah, it does have a smell. I quite like the smell, actually. Quite a bit musty, but... So, Vox Organ Guitar, all sorts going on. Now, the biggest question on these is, does it work? Because there is a lot going on, and more often than not, they don't. Now, it does kind of work. The output is very low, so we have tested both guitar and the organ features. So it's all very low output, but it kind of does work. It's nearly there, just needs a bit of a service. So we have the guitar. You can see it's in absolutely fantastic condition. A few minor imperfections to the body. I'm going to put that down now. Bit of a weight, but we do have all the bits with it. So we've got the guitar organ box that you need for it to work. We've even got the instructions to tell you all about it and how to make it work. All the different settings: church organ, harpsichord, Hawaiian, the playing guide, and we also have the little tag, Vox tag. So that's still in place. Usually you'd see something like that go missing. But we've got all the cables, and we've even got the electronic plectrum somewhere. If I can find it, yeah, there we go. The electronic plectrum. So it's all quite an amazing package, all still intact. All the cables, the case, the works. So you in condition-wise, you probably won't find one much better. Like I said, it will need some kind of servicing. It does work, but not all the features do, at least with a strong output. There are people that can restore these things, but it is an incredibly rare and now valuable instrument. Manson guitar fans, Muse fans, Matt Bellamy fans, you're in for a treat. A few cool guitars for you, top of the range. So we have an MB1. There we go, 2015 MB1. Got all the specifications on there. Hand-signed document by both Hugh Manson and Matthew Bellamy. So original Hiscock's case, comes with a brochure as well. So we got the texture black finish, the sustainer pickup, the Chaos pad of course as well. It's all in working condition. Nicely figured maple neck. These tuners are really cool. I love them. Yeah. But there we go, the first of the Matt Bellamy guitars that we have coming up in the next sale. So another MB1, and this is the Red Alert limited edition. I wonder why. There we go. Again, certificate of authenticity, signed by Matt Bellamy of Muse and Hugh Manson of Manson Guitar Works. So this comes in the red finish, which was a limited run that they did. So you've got all of its protective film on the back there. Really highly figured maple neck. Lovely guitar. Comes with more standard tuners. Sustainiac pickup in the neck. Humbucker. I believe that is a Manson humbucker. I'm going to have a look there. Yeah, it's a Psychopath, apparently, a PF1 Psychopath, and with the titanium hardware option. So all the specs on the sheet there. Two-piece swamp ash body as well. Another really cool guitar in great condition. So the last of the three to show you. This is a DL1. Of course, the DL means DeLorean. Again, Matt Bellamy limited run signature model. And as you can see again, we got the certificate of authenticity there. The raw aluminium top with a swirl option. Bolt-on neck, figured maple neck, colour matched headstock. Custom option pickups, Floyd Rose trem, kill switch, Goto hardware, aluminium backplate, deluxe logo hard case. Option for MXR Phase 90. I'm not really sure what all that is, but obviously it's somewhere within the guitar. Don't ask me. I don't know an awful lot about them, to be honest with you, but that is a rare guitar with those Matt Bellamy connections. So in here we have a Gibson SG Special, a gloss finish version rather than the faded. And one thing I will say with the Manson guitars, those three guitars are the start of another collection that we've had in. So the rest of the guitars in this video are all from one collection. So the three Matt Bellamy Manson guitars and this Gibson, the SG Special open humbucker pickups from 2010. So there we go, good condition with its original gig bag. So another SG guitar. Struggling a bit to get my head around some aspects of this guitar, but in 1980-81 they made the SG R1 Artist model, featured Moog electronics, much like the RD Artist and other instruments around that time. A lot of people pull the Moog electronics out, but anyway, they have on this one, I will add, they're all there. So this guitar is one of those guitars. It would have originally had a black finish. You can see the black through the window there. Now there is a letter that states, I will open this up. It was painted by Anthony Turville. I'm not really sure who that is, but obviously some artist, very psychedelic, yeah, interesting artwork. Anyway, the electrics have been replaced. The pickups, I think, are burst buckers, so they're very modern pickups. It does have the original electrics otherwise, so we've got potentiometers dating to 1978, and the circuit board, somewhere in that letter and other information do also state that this is a prototype model, but I'm not really sure how they can establish that, unless it's just, you know, information that's been passed on throughout the years. But we're not going too heavy on that fact because essentially we can't prove it. You will notice the inlays, which I thought was quite interesting. I thought that might have been something to do with it, but you can see they have been later set in. There are sort of some ebony blocks behind the trapezes, and the trapezes aren't quite I'm going to say Gibson quality, but a lot of people say Gibson quality wasn't there at this period, but they're not exactly uniformed as you'd expect.
It's almost like a Supreme, isn't it?
It is in some ways, but it's an interesting guitar. You don't see many of them around. They only made 100 of the SG model anyway, so this is one of those 100. Comes with this case, which I've never seen one of this type cases of this interior. Of course, I've seen some oblong SG cases, but not of this type. Everest seems to be the manufacturer. Maybe it was for that model only. But it's an interesting guitar nonetheless. If anyone's got any further information they can throw at me about this particular guitar, then please feel free to do so. Another Gibson for you, and a bit more straightforward. Some more Chris Wilmot special stringing.
Oh, I would never.
This collection has a lot of stringing like this, so Chris is going to be tearing his hair out.
What's left of it?
What's left of it. You said it, not me. You said it. 1993, no it's not, it's 1998 Gibson Les Paul double cut in very good condition with original case. So in here we have an early 1970s Les Paul Deluxe. It's not a standard, despite the pickups and the truss rod cover. That is a much later truss rod cover. Interestingly, we do have a Gibson Les Paul standard from this period. You could get the double humbucker guitars from this period, but they were factory special orders. But we do have one, which we will see in another video now. Come back next week and have a look at that one, and I will show you that. I'll show you the font on the truss rod cover and everything just to compare. But anyway, this is a deluxe that has been converted, so the pickup cavities have been enlarged. This is a refinished gold top, so it's not the original finish. There's all sorts of bad finishing inside the cavities, unfortunately. The pickups are Gibson pickups. They are patent stamped pickups, so slightly later. I mean, they will probably be 70s pickups, saying that. We got some replacement hardware. The pots date to 1990. As you can see, the majority of the hardware has been changed. Turn it over, and I can't remember whether this one's got a neck repair. I can't obviously see a neck repair there, but we do have a very similar Les Paul in the cell that does have a neck repair anyway. But you can see this guitar has been through the mill. Got rat inscribed to the back and all sorts. But it's been a used guitar, used and abused in some ways, but probably because it's a great instrument, or someone's loved thrashing it around. The stories it could tell. More headstock wrath. 1967-ish Gibson Hummingbird. So you got the skinny nut on this one. You got the screw-in guard, which is a later 60s feature on these. There's our little Hummingbird there. Cherry sunburst finish. It's in pretty good condition though for the age. Bit of checking, few light marks, but otherwise very good indeed. In here we have an Epiphone Casino. This is from '66, so we're on the less desirable side of the 60s to a lot of collectors who prefer the wider nut. So you've got the thinner nut here, and the biggest issue with this guitar is, I mean, you can see it from the front as well, it's had a pretty horrific head break at some point. It's broken in many places, and the cracking goes all the way down here. That's all been refinished over, and there is some refinishing down the bottom as well. So the whole neck has been almost redone, put back together. But there it is, a 67 Casino. It is still a popular model, so very much player's grade and will certainly suit someone's pocket. So in here we have a Gibson SG2000, a guitar that many say is the Les Paul killer, even though it's an SG shape. But there we go. This is I think this is from 2002, from memory. Cherry sunburst finish, nice clean condition with original case. So in here we have a first year Japanese Falcon, 1990. All production moved over to Japan from America, and obviously they had their custom shop later on. But yeah, this is a 1990 Gretsch White Falcon, and this is the 6136 model. Some discolouring, which you quite often see on these models, the yellowing that goes on. Comes in a slightly later case. We do have a earlier case that is quite battered, hence why the later case was purchased to keep it safe in. So in here we have a Dobro Duolian with the Hawaiian etching, the moon and stars single cone plate. There we go, a bit of scratching on the back. This is a US Dobro. There we go, probably from around 88, looking at the serial number. I haven't got an encyclopedic knowledge in my brain of the Dobro serial numbers, but it would kind of make sense. So there we go, late 80s Dobro Duolian. So in here we have a 1969 Fender precision bass guitar, and apart from one minor condition issue, it's a really nice example. I kind of wish there's a smell-o-vision, because this has got ultimate vintage Fender case smell, which is nice. I've got a really good friend that
makes candles out of that.
no, should do it, should scent it. I got a really good friend who collects vintage guitars, an old school friend, and every time I send him a picture of something cool that's come in, I'll send him the picture, and he said, "Oh, nice, any good?" And I'll say, one of the first things I'll say is, "It smells nice if it does," and it's usually this smell.
I'll tell you what that smells like. Fresh pencil sharpening.
That's what it smells like. Old childhood memories. That's
Yeah.
why I like it. It does. It is.
Yeah.
I've never been able to put my finger on what it is. So there we go. You heard it here first.
It smells like a sharpened pencil.
It smells like a sharpened pencil. Right, so this is a 1969. Nearly took the case with me then. Fender precision bass. In the finish there, you can see the tan lines. Original three-tone sunburst finish. The strings are very slack because I had this apart quite recently. So all the parts original. Now the one minor condition issue that I mentioned is this should be there, and someone has taken it off there and screwed it into the body. So it's so close to being completely original. Not that it necessarily matters a huge deal, but it's something that I have to mention, because if I don't, then someone will pick me up on it. So I'll put that back in its original case. Comes with its bridge cover there, the culprit of those tan lines. The pickup cover, there would have been a pickup cover that's missing. One thing I do quite like is this letter. Thank you for your winning bid. We are going to miss this bass, and an American number. So the chap in the UK, the chap that's addressed to isn't actually the owner, but it's the guy that he acquired the bass off. So it came from the US at some point, and a bass that is sorely missed as per the letter. There we go. So got a run of Fender guitars. We just saw the bass. A lot of these guitars do have issues, so I've had a look all over them, and I will try and remember all the aspects as we go through. So in here we have what was once a 1967 Telecaster. It's got the 60s case, 67 neck, but the body has been replaced. So some might say, well, it's a 67 neck and other parts, but it's not, and this is the reason. I'll explain the reason why anyway. But 67 neck, incorrect decal, refret, big old chunky frets on there, which actually I prefer as a preference for playing, but lots of wear on the neck, as you can see. Stamped 67 on the end. Now the body doesn't have all the correct dowel markings that I can see. It's sometimes difficult to see through the finish, but you can see the edges are very sharp It would certainly be a refinish if it was an original body. The finish isn't quite Fender correct, but the body is very, very light, almost too light. And when you actually take it all apart, all the edges are very, very sharp, and not as you'd expect. So I don't know who made the body. I mean, MJT make decent bodies like this. It's not stamped MJT or anything, but anyway, body, in my opinion, is not original. Bridge pickup appears original. The pots date to 1966. So being that it's a 66, 67 guitar, that would be correct. The serial plate is a correct 67 serial plate. So the plates there, the strap buttons are original vintage Fender strap buttons. Bridge plate in the saddles, they all appear correct. Now the guard is not original, so the likely scenario is that the original guitar was converted in some way, maybe a humbucker put in, hence the body was damaged. And a lot of people end up just either restoring the body or just the guard covers the damage, put a new guard on to put it back to spec. But whoever owned this previously decided just to replace the body instead. That would be my theory anyway. So replace body, replacement guard. The neck pickup is also not original. So that kind of all checks out. So they've put a later thing on to make it back to more standard spec. But I guess what we have is half of it is 67, or more than half of it, 'cause it's no body pickup. Yeah, let's say half of it's 67, half of it's not. But it comes with a case as well. Case has got some value in its own right. But it was once an original 67 Telecaster that has now been changed about. So in here we have a 69 Telecaster. Again, messed around. I think one thing to say is the estimates will reflect all these changes as well. So we'll be estimating them accordingly. So we've got a 69 neck with the big Fender logo and the F stamped tuners. Now the corners on this do look very round, but I do believe it is an original Fender body. You can just about see the pilot holes that you'd expect through the finish. The finish has picked up some of the case colouring, as you can see the red marks. But probably what has happened is when it's been sanded down to be refinished, it's just curved, sanded a little bit too much. It's quite a light body as well. But anyway, we have replacement pickups. I'm not sure what the neck pickup is, but this is a Rio Grande bridge pickup. The guard also appears to not be original. It should be a white guard at this stage, not a green guard, but comes with a Fender case, which I think is, yeah, it's a slightly later one as well. But there we go. Started life as a 69 Telecaster. It's got the correct serial plate as well, but it's had some modifications as well, putting it into that severe players grade category. So a little bit, well, more straightforward with this one. Fender Custom Shop, thin line Telecaster, and I will just show you the certificate. There we go, 2012. So from the same collection still, Mike Eldred certificate of authenticity. So it's a 50 Telecaster thin line NOS, maple neck, humbucker single, and in this metallic silver finish. Logo on the back. Comes with all its papers, all its tags. So really nice condition. Another great guitar. It's another interesting old Telecaster that really has been through the mill. So we're essentially just calling it a 1970s modified Telecaster. It's got a 71 neck, Telecaster thin line neck, 3-bolt neck. Has some shallow tuners. You can see the old dowel holes, and it's also got a wooden spacer strip there as well. 3-bolt neck, dating to the early 70s. Now this has actually got a HH spec body, so it's a later 70s body, HH spec, and this is all hidden under the guard, but the other pickup cavity is there, and this plate basically straddles over it. So wide range pickup in the neck position, I'm pretty sure that bridge pickup, yeah, that bridge pickup's a replacement. The guard is damaged, but again, another highly modified guitar from this period. All the information will be in the catalogue though. But if you like a thin line telly and you like the look of this one in the gold finish, then it could be a cool option. Another composite thin line Telecaster. You'll notice this Strat type headstock, which of course is a Telecaster Deluxe headstock, even though it's a Strat shape. This is a 73 Telecaster Deluxe neck, and it's on a body that I have no idea what it is. It's not a Fender body anyway, but a thin line Telecaster body. 73 neck plate. It has 73 dated wide range pickups, modern CTS potentiometers. So again, it's very much a parts caster instrument with some fantastic stringing once again. But again, all the details will be in the item description when it hits the website, guitarauctions.com. And even some West Germany made Fender tuners. Don't often see those type. But there we go, 1973 and other composite Telecaster. Now this is something that is much more original, and it is original, and a model that has always kind of been on my radar, but I obsess about them a bit more now because of Mr. DeLong's recent association with them. We all know how much I love a Tom DeLonge guitar. They are cool though, the Fender Starcaster. So original shape case. The last two Starcasters I've had didn't have the case, so it's nice to see. Lots of knobs going on. Wide range pickups. So this is from 1975. The head there, but it's in great condition all round. And as I said, original. Bit of discoloration on the back, but in the blonde, it probably would have been whiter than this at one point, but it's just aged down over the years. 1975 Fender Starcaster. So we have another modified Fender guitar, this time a Stratocaster. So what do we have? We have a 1977 Stratocaster neck. Turn it over with some Fender tuners, but not the original F-stamp tuners. You can see the old holes, but they are replacement tuners. So 3-bolt neck, as you'd expect for this period. Pickup wise, we have a DiMarzio in the bridge position, but we do have some 70s grey bottom Fender pickups in the neck and middle. The potentiometers all date to 1976, so they're all of the period, but we have a Japanese 5-way switch. Obviously this mirrored guard is also not original, and we also have a DiMarzio bridge. Refinished in this Fiesta red finish. It is nitro finish, as you can see from the checking. But again, another modified guitar. I think it looks pretty cool, and it has some cool mods on it. So going back to something slightly more original. There are some changes on this one. 1975 Fender Strat, so another big headstock Strat. As you can see, the finish is original. Got some nice honest wear going on there. So I think that looks really cool. Proper relicking, not been dragged through the Fender custom shop. So 75 neck, 75 neck plate, I think. I'm pretty sure it is anyway. Pickups. Two of them, the middle and the bridge, they have 73 stamps on, so dating to 73. The other one, it looks of period. The potentiometers are changed. They are DiMarzio pots. Everything else though appears, you can see what I was referring to with the F-stamped tuners in the last clip. So again, a not completely original, but nearly there, 1975 Fender Stratocaster. So in here we have a Fender Custom Shop David Gilmour Signature Stratocaster, and this is the, well, I mean, I was about to say more desirable of the two, not necessarily, because you might prefer the NOS finish yourself, but I guess in terms of value and rarity, this is the more desirable, being that there are less of them. So this is the relic version, so it's more, I guess, true to the original, and it comes with its original case. I believe some of the bits and pieces inside the case are missing. We do have the COA, which is good, and the book. There are some of the accessories, but a few bits are missing. I can't remember exactly what. But anyway, from 2011, so one of the earlier ones as well. There we go, Fender Custom Shop, David Gilmour Relic. So we have a very Malmsteen looking guitar. So this is a 1972 Fender Stratocaster. Again, lots of modifications. So we've got a 72 neck. It has been loads of wear all over. It has been refretted as well, these huge chunky frets. And if I just turn it over, we will also see the 72, circa 72 neck plate. Body, lots of wear all over the body. Nice honest wear, the blonde finish rubbing off, or probably would have been Olympic white originally. The pickups are replaced. The guard and other plastics have all been replaced. But again, you'll all see it in the description when the catalogue comes out. Comes with a 70s Fender hard case as well. So a nice thing to have. There we go, probably one of my favourites of this collection. It's a really cool guitar. 1960. Did I say 6 or 7?
6, I think.
Yeah, 1966. 1966, Fender Stratocaster, again with some really cool honest wear. So big headstock, but we still got the old style logo, the transition logo. Rosewood board, refretted, as I'm sure we would all have assumed it would need to be after being played this much. But correct neck plate, 4-bolt still, as it's late 60s. Now the pickups are original, although this pickup has had a really, really weird, quirky, interesting mod. I've never seen anything like it. But underneath the guard, so this has been in the middle, the cavity has been enlarged to house a humbucker type pickup. But what they've actually done is they've wired on this extra coil that sits underneath the guard. I've never seen it before. It's working, but it's just someone obviously had a mad idea to do that. But I can't remember whether I got a photo of it. But anyway, we'll certainly show it in the catalogue description. If I have got a photo of it, I'll try and flash it up over this video. So if I haven't got a photo of it, you're not going to see an image flash up right now. But there we go. Really interesting guitar still. Now the only other mod I mentioned on some other of the guitars from this collection where they've had green looking guards, well, they shouldn't be in this period. They should be more of this white colour. But look at the chunk on that trem arm. So the hole has been adapted to fit this absolutely massive arm. But yeah, so that's not original, and it has been adapted to fit. But there we go, still a really cool guitar. And I mean, I can't actually believe how valuable these have become these days. Late 60s Strats, when I first started selling guitars, didn't sell for a lot of money, but now original 66, 67 Strats, and you know, when I say original, you know, completely original, you're looking at 5 figures now. Quite mad. But there we go, 67 Fender Strat. So another guitar that is nice and original from the collection. Rather lovely. There's that pencil smell again. 1966 Fender Electric XII, original case in stunning condition. Now in terms of Electric XIIs, I think these have to be my favourite, and they work really well. They've got just about the right nut width to make it work. They're always they sound great. They're always really stable as well, in terms of tuning, or certainly for, you know, electric 12s of this period. But yeah, fantastic condition. Really strong sunburst finish there, in good condition. A few minor dings, but lovely to see it with its case. Now we do have, amazingly, 2 of these in the auction. Like buses, 2 come along at once from different collections. I believe the other one is up here somewhere, but we will show that in the next video, just to give you something to look forward to, but in equally as nice condition. I think the other one doesn't have its original case though, but this will be first up. So you will have 2 to choose from, one with the original case and one without, but like I said, essentially in the same condition. So yeah, nice way to finish that collection. And as you've all been so good and you've all stayed around and watched the entire video, the entire thing front till back, I will show you a nice little bonus. So a lot of you will instantly recognise this from the sound hole itself, but we have a Anthony Zemaitis acoustic, the real deal, from 1970. As you can see on the label, we have a Superior model. So they always came in 3 different standards. They had a standard, the Superior and the custom. So this is the Superior model, and this has got a bit of a story behind it. So first of all, let's have a look at the guitar. So spruce top, Brazilian rosewood back and sides, which is a feature on the Superior models. We've got an ebony board, and then some Danny O'Brien engraved logo at the top, and of course the truss rod cover with the owner's name engraved in, which is a Mr. J. Langdon. We'll get onto him in a minute. So in terms of the condition, there are some hairlines to the top here. Also, if I turn the guitar around, there is, I've actually got to try and find this now. There we go. There's a repaired split here. There might be one on the side as well. I'm just reminding myself as I look, maybe there isn't one on the side. But anyway, the correct details will be in the description. But one of the main reasons for the refinish is this would have had a big tortoiseshell guard on. That has been removed. There are pictures of this guitar with the guard on, so taking the guard off would have left a bit of a mark, which is, I think, is the main reason it's been refinished rather than the repair itself. Yeah, collectible Zemaitis guitar, original shallow tuners. I know Tony Zemaitis used shallow tuners on his guitars. So what can I tell you about this guitar? Well, this was owned by a chap called John Langdon. Now, John Langdon was a comedy writer. He collaborated a lot with the impressionist Rory Bremner. And he did a lot of work within comedy, within the BBC as well, and other writing and things like that. Now, he was also a musician. He was part of a duo called Bibbs and Vanya, and he was Vanya, and they were basically a duo, and Bibbs Eckel was a very talented balalaika player, Russian balalaika player, and yeah, they released many records. I'll try and flash up a picture of some of the records as this video is going on, and a lot of the records you can actually see him with this guitar on, albeit with the scratch plate in place. We're selling this directly on behalf of the family. John sadly passed away, but really interesting history. Now, one part of the history that is even more interesting, potentially to some people, is that this is one of 2 guitars that were made for Peter Green. So Tony Zemaitis had made 2 acoustic guitars. Peter Green wanted one, as a lot of artists around that time, by word of mouth and seeing people play these guitars. Tony made lots of guitars for artists. So Peter Green was after an acoustic. Tony made 2 guitars for him, and he basically had the choice of one or the other, or of course both. Anyway, he went for the other and decided against this one after playing it. Now, this is a story that John Langdon had always told the family, and he sort of recounted this story before there were any sort of records written down by Tony himself. Now, we spoke to Keith Smart, and so did the family, owner of the Zemaitis Owners, chairman of the Zemaitis Owners Club, and he himself said, well, there was an article that was put in the Z Gazette that was initially handwritten by Tony, and he did recount that story. So the story that John Langdon had told had come before this story was published in the Z Gazette. So on that basis, it seems like it's not something that's just completely made up. So although we don't have any hard provenance, there is a good story behind it. So basically, in Tony's words, he does confirm in a story that he wrote later that he did indeed make 2 guitars for Peter Green, and he just preferred the other one. So even though it was never owned by Peter Green, it was made for him, and it was the one he rejected, sadly. But it gave John Langdon the chance to buy it himself. So yeah, John bought this guitar and used it as his workhorse throughout the years, and here it is today. So your opportunity to own the guitar that Peter Green rejected. There we go. So there we go, ladies and gents. Hope you enjoyed this video. That was long, really long. But loads of great stuff, I think you'll agree. Let us know what was your favourite, what you didn't like as usual, and like I said earlier, any corrections. Please subscribe to the channel if you like our content. Obviously hit the bell icon, hit the like button, it all helps. Go and check the website guitarauctions.com, sign up to our mailing list. It's always the quickest way to keep updated. Of course, go to Instagram and Facebook as well. Facebook /Guitar Auctions. Instagram is @Guitar Auctions, because those are the places where we put up things as and when they come in. Certainly the highlighted lots. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video today. We should be, all being well, back next week as normal. Hopefully we won't have another break, because it does make these videos a bit longer than usual, but maybe you like that. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next week.